Folks, here we are at the top of WIP Mountain, and the view is terrifying. I know exactly how we got here. It's my own fault, but the WIPs have just become completely untenable. For context, 2025, pretty rough year so far for me personally and for humanity as a whole. And so kind of to cope with the level of uncertainty I was facing and I'm still facing, but it's different now, I, at the beginning of 2025, just started letting myself cast on with completely reckless abandon. If I had the yarn and I could afford the pattern, I got the pattern, casted it on immediately. It didn't matter what it was. I switched patterns all the time. I have just, in that process though, accumulated so many WIPs that I now have a whole cart overrun by WIPs that I have varying levels of connection to, intent to finish, vibes about. I think it has created more chaos in my brain than is usually there, and that has also meant that my executive functioning skills have just completely maxed themselves out, what little executive functioning skills I have, and I now can't prioritize to like get anything done. And so now I just have this like pile of partially finished WIPs. Meanwhile, I'm getting distracted constantly by patterns and new yarns and new opportunities to imagine new projects and the new iterations of this fibercraft hobby, like spinning and different. I can't do it all. Just frustrating. Why can't we do everything? And why isn't there an infinite amount of time in our lives to be able to just do all the crafting that we could possibly want to do? All of that to say, I thought it would be helpful for me and entertaining for you to be able to go through my entire cart of WIPs and talk about whether I intend to finish them, what's the deal, what's going on, and start to make that priority list, because I think my ultimate goal is to get myself down to 3 working WIPs that then once any of those are done, I will clear that slot and then put in a new one of my WIPs before starting a new project. If I don't stick to this forever, if this isn't the ultimate iteration of this fiber crafting journey or this rhythm for me, I'm fine with that. Listen, my brain is a pinball machine and it pin all around all the time. So I can't hold myself to very much, and I don't like to with a hobby. That's the point of a hobby, is I can just kind of go where the dopamine is leading me. But I think just helping myself get that finish it energy, and then also to actually finish a project, will give me dopamine, and I can roll that into finishing another project. And I'm hoping that'll snowball a little bit to just help me clear the giant queue that I have kind of created, again, by myself, for myself. Let's go with a WIP roundup, and we'll see where that takes us. First up on the WIP roundup, we have my weekend brunch scarf. Is this the front or the back? This is the front. Well done. This is the weekend brunch scarf. It's a pattern by Lion Brand. It's free, benefit. I really like it. I'm using Lion Brand's Hue and Me collab with 2 of Wands. I really wanted to use this yarn, so I bought this yarn and I found a pattern that was using this yarn, and I really like it. I like that it's a huge scarf. I like that it's using size 11 needles because it's chunky and it works up really quickly. But I haven't worked on this pattern in a while. I am now not really like motivated to finish it right now. So I think it's one I'm gonna keep. I'm gonna finish it, but you have to knit the body like this pattern until it's like 76 inches long. And yes, it goes really fast because it's chunky weight, but right now that's just not what's here for me. And so I think I'm gonna keep it. I'm gonna put it back in its bag, and that's gonna be kind of on the like auxiliary queue. It's not gonna be one of the main active WIPs right now, just because it's not an active WIP for me and hasn't been one that I've been drawn to in the past several weeks. So yeah, that's this one. We love it. It's gonna get done one day, but not in the near future. This next one's gonna be kind of a twofer. This is the very beginning of the Staffin sweater by the Crochet, and I'm really excited about this sweater. I really like the texture that pattern has. I really like how it's gonna change up really regularly, so it's not just knitting stockinette forever and ever. It's also worsted weight yarn, which is great because it works up a little bit faster than thinner weights of yarn. What a concept. This is just some regular like Barocco vintage worsted in the color Mushroom. I really like this color. I'm overall not really into the whole beige sweater era, but I think for this pattern, this color works really well, and I had a bunch of it because what happened was I started knitting the Novice Sweater by Petite Knit, which has this yarn, or just a worsted weight yarn, held double with mohair. I knit the entire body in size extra large and started knitting on a sleeve before I tried it on and realized I did not like the fit at all. It was too oversized even before blocking it, and that made the fabric sit weird, and I just wasn't having a good time. I had already put it on ice for quite some time, and then I pulled it off and I tried it on and I was like, absolutely not. So what did I do? Frogged the entire thing. I just finished frogging it yesterday because I kind of started going like one ball at a time just to make it more manageable for me, because pulling apart yarn and mohair is annoying. And so that turned into the Staffin sweater and turned into this guy. I took all the mohair and I've been making the Melted Marl Kerchief by Stephen West. It's supposed to be a 4-color pattern of a marled effect of mohair combinations. I did not do that because I only had a crap ton of beige mohair. So we have a beige shawl, and it's pretty close to getting done. The widest point here is 83 stitches across, and then you do decreases down, and I'm under 40, somewhere under 40 stitches left. So like I've decreased by half of the widest amount of stitches. I only have a little bit left to go. Let me see if I can line this up and show you. Dum da dum. Yeah, there's not much left. There's like this little tail coming in here. Pretty good. But yeah, so the Novice sweater went goodbye, frogged that, and I turned it into now 2 different WIPs. As you can see, this one much farther along, much more motivated to finish this. I can probably finish this in a few days if I'm really trying. So I think this is going to take one of my active WIP slots, and I actually think that I'm going to frog what little of this I have, keep all the yarn. I have it all balled up now, caked up and ready to go, but it's just not cast on a chunky sweater season for me right now. And then whenever the little goblin who lives in my brain demands a sweater, I have a sweater quantity of yarn ready to go with a pattern that I'm excited about. That's my vision, that's my dream. We'll see if that happens. That's the direction I'm heading. That's the story there. Listen, I'm also out of project bags. Part of the problem, don't have anywhere to put a new project, even if I had one. Which I'm trying to not, as you may have picked up on. Okay, this one is Tangled, and I stopped mid-row. Why? It's a song I wrote about this cardigan. Hope you liked it. This cardigan is the Harlow cardigan by Kadri, and it is a worsted weight cardigan pattern, and I bought yarn from my yarn friend Kayla, who does a little loopy yarn out in Pennsylvania. She's an independent dyer. Her stuff is really cool, you guys. Like, I'm a big fan. This is her colorway Frog and Toad, and it's so freaking cute and so soft, and I really like working with it. I was making good progress on it. You can see I got some progress. I don't remember what these are measuring or why, but you can see that I knitted enough to put another one in, so that's exciting. And yeah, I got to the part where I'm able to incorporate the front, shoulder panels into this row, so I'm just knitting flat back and forth with the whole width of the sweater, and that's really exciting. I have I got to the end of my ball of yarn that I had caked up, and then I think that's about the point where I stalled out on this project for a little bit. Just, again, other things were catching my attention, things were going. I'm definitely gonna finish this. I'm loving how this is working out. I'm loving the fabric, it's so soft. I'm really excited to wear it with specifically this t-shirt and a pair of jeans. I don't know why that's the mood, but I'm really excited about that specifically. I have another ball of yarn caked up, so I'm ready to continue it when it's time, because I'm already so far along. I don't have that much more to go. If I'm tired of working, endlessly back and forth on the body, I can use this ball and start a sleeve, and that maybe having a small in the round project will feel good. Could be good. Could be good. The next project that I have that actually still has a project bag, very exciting, is this Bahama Advent wrap by Tony Lipsy using the Hue Loco Botanical Fade 2024 Advent. This is absolutely a gorgeous colorway, and not colorway because it's a whole palette of 24 different minis. I have the remaining minis here. I've passed the halfway mark, so there's 24 minis. I'm on mini 18 right now. Mini 19 right now. And for the past couple of days, save for yesterday, I was able to get through a ball a day, just knitting this as my like after work project, just because it's too big for me to like manage it at my desk, and I don't like that. I definitely think not long for the WIP pile. It can definitely make it to the finish line and make it there pretty soon. I still have all the ends to weave in and blocking and blah blah blah, but that's not the point. The point is to get to the end. Having a great time working on it. It's so soft and so squishy. Some of the other projects, right, like that mohair held double that I'm working with for the shawl pattern, hurts my hands after a while. It's just not very like squishy and comfy until you touch the whole fabric. And then switching from that to this project has been really fun because this is so squishy and so good, and I just love it. And it's colorful and it's great. And this has a lot of my attention. So definitely, I think it's safe to put this in one of the like active WIP slots that I'm gonna like finish, clear out, call it a day. What's left? Part of the reason 2025 has been so stressful for me personally is because my job has been a little up in the air. We know layoffs are coming at the place where I work, and we don't know when or how many people. And so some of the things that I've been doing with my fibercraft hobby was thinking about ways to monetize it or thinking about ways to sell some of the extra things that I'm making. And I still think eventually I want to do that, but it felt really urgent at the time when I was like casting on these things. I have a whole bag full of leftover cotton yarn that I've used from various projects. And right now I have been making, oh, here's a finished one. I've been making these little coasters because I saw this flower crochet coaster pattern and I thought it was really cute and I really like it, and they work up really fast. And again, it was an opportunity to use 2 colors of this cotton yarn that I have. So then I started going into production mode and making, oh, I finished another one. Look at that. That's two coasters right there. We're halfway to a set of 4 coasters. That's math. That's math. I made a bunch of the centers, and then something else caught my attention, or I don't really know exactly what happened. Maybe I just came down off of my anxiety-backed urgency and said, okay, I don't need to try to like get a whole website set up to sell my stuff today. And that just like started feeling like a lot of work, and the tasks started multiplying, and my job was already stressful enough. Like, how do I then have time or energy left over to take on another job? And I didn't want to do that. So yeah, I feel like that's what happened. But again, these are cute. These are gonna make great gifts. If I do get to a point where I feel like I can sell these at some sort of market, or just even on Instagram or here, I don't know. What is commerce? And then maybe I will. Definitely not an active WIP. I think this will be something I pick up and put down pretty regularly because it's an easy one to pick up and put down. It uses a 4mm crochet hook, and just do that whenever I need to do that or feel like I want a quick project to just kind of pop in. And I'm not too worried about this like ruining the progress I'm making on my active WIPs. I'm not worried about this particular project interfering with that process I'm trying to establish. So I think just having this bag ready to work on of coasters makes that really easy. I can just get that done whenever, and then have them, sell them when I have them, give them away when I have them, do whatever I want with them when they're around. And if they're not around, that's also okay. This isn't one that like calls to me in the night and is like, you haven't finished your WIP. You have this WIP just hanging around here. Like, this one doesn't pick at me the way that some of these other ones like pick and scream at me in the night. So not worried about that one, but it's still part of this roundup because I don't want to completely forget that it's here. This next one, this is okay. Listen about this though. My spouse got me compression socks for the solstice holiday in the winter, and immediately I was like, project bag. The socks came in this, and you're not telling me that this is going to be a project bag for all my projects? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. That's not happening. This is a project bag. It's holding pieces, and then this one's holding the yarn, because this is a project that you assemble a bunch of pieces and then assemble those pieces together, and I needed a place to put the pieces. It's like, I want to talk about this project, but I also can't. Why is there this much scrap yarn just unrelated to this project in my bag? It's cute, but it does not belong here. I'll put you away one day. Like, look at all that. That's going in the scrap pile. Anyway, before I was rudely interrupted by myself getting distracted by something completely unnecessary, I'm working on a project for Kayla, who runs A Little Loopy Yarns. She's doing a really cool yarn advent this winter, and she asked me to write up a pattern for one of the projects I had already designed. I don't know if I should like tell everyone what it is. I'm gonna hold off and maybe I'll do a reveal later once the advent has been discussed more. I have to talk to Kayla about like her vision for that. Is this truly the last one? Why in my mind did I have like 45 WIPs? This is how my brain works. My anxiety and sense of urgency has filled up all the slots of projects that I could possibly think about and has multiplied them by like 55. And now I have, in my mind, 75,000 WIPs that I have to show you and get through and organize. But in reality, so far I've shown you 7 projects. And that's a lot. And that's too many for me. We've hit that point. We know this about ourselves. Especially because there are some projects in the queue that haven't been started yet that I'm really excited about. And I want to talk about those too, because then we can start to figure out a bigger queue. But yeah, not actually as many as I thought. Okay, so WIP number 8. The yarn is Terrapin Fiberworks in the color Tipsy Mermaid. It's this pretty Tipsy Mermaid color. And I really like it. It's their Pima cotton base and it's fingering weight. So cotton plus fingering weight. Yes, it can hurt your hands, but honestly, it's Pima cotton, so it's mercerized to be really soft, and it is really soft. This is the project. This is one of the variations of the Tolsta tank by the Crochet band. I really like her designs. Can you tell? I also think she does a great job with being size inclusive, which is important to me. And you buy a pattern and you often get modifications already in the pattern, so you don't have to do the work of imagining how would this short sleeve look as a long sleeve, or what should I do to it. She includes those types of things very frequently. This is a Tolsta. It is the 4-ply version, which is fingering weight. And the thing about it is that it was going to be the like camisole adaptation. So instead of having like the high top vest pattern that I've already knit and I really like, it has like, you know, a v-neck, 2 straps, v-neck, 2 straps in the back. It's like a mirrored image front and back, which is really nice. The problem is this is 240 something stitches for my size, and it's bottom up, and it's fingering weight yarn, and it's cotton yarn. So I've just been knitting on this, and this is a really easy project because it's just like small for me to throw in my bag when I go on the train, in the car when I go somewhere, or when I just have time to like sit and knit anywhere that's not here. I very frequently grab this one and just make literally so small progress on it whenever I go out.
So I had a whole epiphany about this project that ended up taking me on a whole other journey. And instead of getting into it here, I'm going to spin this off into its own video for you to be able to fully appreciate the side quest that this project turned into.
And that brings us to the end of our WIP roundup. This is very good. This is very good. We're in a really good spot. We've got some next steps here. Our next steps are going to be figuring out a priority list for the WIPs that we have, making sure we give ourselves some room to start a new project that excites us, because between you and me, that's absolutely going to happen, and I need to just account for that. Knowing myself, making a plan informed by what we know about myself, then we're going to be able to, we're a team now, we're in this together. Then I'm going to be able to make more room in my brain to have fun and get excited about projects. Because right now, like, instead of getting excited, the yarn in my stash is scaring me, which is not what the yarn in my stash is supposed to do. It's just like, oh my gosh, like the weight of all of the projects that are within and are going to be made out of that yarn. It's just been weighing on me. And I think doing all of this work is going to free up room for me to conquer WIP Mountain, for me to come back victorious, and to be able to cast on with confidence. And that's the goal. And that's really what this is all about. So now what I want to do is I'm going to go back through and pick out my final like top 3 active WIPs, and then move all the rest of these into like the auxiliary WIPs patterns pile to be rotated in once I clear the main 3. Okay, so easily done. The Bahama Advent wrap. We're on color 19 out of 24. Let's keep a good time going. Let's get this done. Active WIP slot number 1. I keep wanting to hold it over here. Sorry, I'll move it for you so you can see it. Number 2, this shawl. I've been into shawls and wraps lately. They work up a lot faster than a garment, and they're more repetitive, and I really like that, and it takes less yarn. I have really caught the mini scarf bug. I finished 2 of them this year already, and I have plans for countless numbers of more. They make great gifts, and they work up really fast, like I said, and they leave you with plenty of yarn to do other scrappy projects with. But this one, it's gonna get done so fast. It's gonna get done so fast, right? Right. So this is gonna be active slot number 2. We're getting these projects done, okay? I think what I wanna do with active slot number 3 is just explore what I'm doing with this tank top. I think that's gonna be the 3rd slot, so we'll do that with the 3rd slot. In addition to all of my WIPs floating around in my brain, I also have a lot of queued up projects. These are projects where I already have the yarn for them. I already have at least one idea of what I want to do with it, and it's just not its time yet. It's just in the queue, it's backlogged. And those are also taking up a lot of space in my brain. So I think another helpful step for me, and hopefully again entertaining for you, is to go through all of the projects that are taking up space in my brain and just sharing about them, because I think that'll also help scratch the itch. I brought my trusty Swatchosaurus with me today for this part of the video because the Swatchosaurus represents an attempt to stave off the cast-on dopamine craving that my brain has. So oftentimes when I am crafting, my brain just wants to go on to the next thing, start something new, get that dopamine rush of a new project. Yes, swatching is good for gauge and understanding what the fabric of your project is gonna look like, and probably some other benefits, and that's all fine and dandy. And if you're a swatcher, I love that for you. I swatch, but the reason that I swatch, my motivation behind swatching, is not really any of those things. I'm like less concerned about that. Sometimes I am, and sometimes I swatch for gauge, blah, blah, blah. But what I'm really trying to say is I swatch because it gives me just enough of a taste of that project so that my brain can like calm down and say, okay, we started the project, or we did something with the project, we used the yarn, we were knitting with it, we were crocheting with it, whatever. And that just kind of helps quiet the mind and kind of just calms everything down so I can get back to the WIPs that I'm actually actively working on, so that I can get to those projects faster in the long run, because I'm not stuck, hung up on what am I going to do with this yarn? How am I going to make it work? Is it going to work with the needles? What's it going to be? Once I answer some of those basic questions by doing a swatch, my brain is just like, okay, great, dopamine achieved, we've done it. And that truly does stave off the cast on dopamine craving in my brain for quite some time. I can get away with a lot if I swatch. So oftentimes if I'm just feeling like, oh, I just really want to cast something on, instead of casting on a whole project and feeling the commitment of the whole project and having a whole project taking up space in my brain, I just do a swatch. It's a lot less committal. In case it wasn't obvious, I craft for the dopamine. I make pretty and weird things to keep my brain happy. I have a novelty-seeking nervous system, and what it wants is weird yarn projects and a dinosaur cookie jar turned into a swatch storage container. So with that, let's get to the yarn. No. First up, I have a bunch of skeins of this yarn. The colorway is Perseid, and the yarn is Granite Mountain Fiber Co. It's a DK, it's superwash merino. And I have like 6 skeins of these that I picked up at Frederick Fiber Fest back when I was living in Maryland, and I like this company a lot. I think they do really gorgeous earthy colorways that I really like, but this one just, I mean, I don't even need to describe to you why I like it. This mix of blue and like coppery orange with the white, it's gonna be so good. This was originally gonna be a cardigan, and now that I'm knitting a worsted weight cardigan, I was like, I don't want to immediately turn around and do another cardigan on a smaller weight yarn with tiny toothpick needles. Like, that won't get the job done. That will make it feel so much more bogged down. I don't think I'll be happy with the process of knitting that right after I've knit another cardigan that worked up a lot faster because it was bigger needles and bigger weight, etc. But worry not. I already did a swatch. Go. That I stored in my Swatchosaurus. Look at that fabric. So this is now going to be a pullover sweater. I'm thinking it's going to be the It's Not a Sweatshirt sweater by, I think it's Knitting for Olive. I'm just so excited to cast this on. I was so excited to cast it on that I had to make a swatch. Couldn't help myself. Had to make a swatch to quiet the chaos in my brain, to stop it pinballing around. We had to clear the queue. We had to made a swatch. Yeah, really excited when I eventually get to cast that on. Not sure when that's going to be because the queue is vast, and I do kind of choose my next project based on what feels right in the moment, but like, this is really calling to me, so I can't imagine it'll be that much longer before the WIPs get cleared and I end up casting something on with this. Just leave this as a little offering to the Swatchosaurus, and we'll put that back. Next, I have this Westwool Glow Hair and Westwool Tandem, which is their DK weight yarn. I have a skein of each. My boss, Lisa, shout out to you, Lisa. Lisa recently took a trip to Amsterdam because she's fancy like that. When she was planning to go, I said, Lisa, you have to stop at Stephen and Penelope and bring me back yarn. She's also a crafter, so it wasn't like I was completely sending her on a mission she would otherwise be disinterested in. And this is the color that I picked because I was looking at my yarn stash behind me and I was just noticing a lot of like cool tones, and I wanted more warmth and vibrancy in my yarn stash, and so I thought I would pick up a project quantity of yarn that was going to move me in that direction pretty good. With this, I am thinking of making the fur rib scarf by Stephen West himself. I thought it would be fun and novel to make a little scarf because they go so fast, and like I said, I've been really into little scarves lately. I already have 2 of them, and a third is welcome to the collection. And I thought, oh, making one of his patterns with his yarn that I got because my boss brought this back for me from Amsterdam would be just a really cute little memory to have associated with this. Colorway is called Red Hot, and it's completely appropriate, and I'm really excited for this. This is not about when or order of when I'm gonna cast things on. We did that with the active WIPs pile. This is just other things taking up space in my brain that I'm excited about one day starting. Ugh, not me having to pull it all the way out. Look. Let's go to the stash, and the stash on Ravelry will tell us what the yarn is called. Because I don't remember. This yarn, this beautiful skein, this lovely cake is a Lavender Loon yarn. It's part of their hosier collection. The colorway is Movement, which is a hosier piece I am unfamiliar with. I like hosier, I appreciate hosier. I wouldn't call myself a huge fan, familiar with the extent of his discography, but hosier's pretty chill. I picked this skein specifically for my sister who likes those kind of like winter jewel tones, which I feel like this definitely has, and also likes hosier, like is an actual fan of hosier and has pursued hosier concerts and things like that. It's an actual hosier fan. The other cool benefit of this yarn is that it is not merino. It is BFL, or Blue-Faced Leicester. And that's really cool. And so I was like, ooh, yes, non-merino yarn, BFL yarn, hosier, jewel tone, tick, 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 tick. And then I bought it. and now it's mine. I do not know what this is going to be. My sister is coming to visit this weekend, and I am hoping to spend some time figuring out with her what this could be. It could be socks, it could be a little neckerchief, it could be other. And I want to get her input because I want to make sure I'm making something for her that she's actually going to like, want, and wear, versus me being really prescriptive about it. Let me put you right there. There you go. Cat interrupted. Hey, buddy. How you doing? Are you so good? Yes? Are you on TV? You're a movie star. Okay, go away. Is this really pretty blend of like a little bit of a grayish color with mostly purples and pinks and browns. And it looks really pretty worked up. I know that because I tried to use it as the second skein in a Musselburgh hat, and I ended up frogging the entire thing just after starting. You can see some of these like wraparounds are because I knitted this much and then frogged it. And I did that because I didn't like the gauge that I was getting, and I didn't feel like I had enough consistency in my gauge. And so the hat wasn't looking like it was gonna be the right size, and I wasn't having a good time anymore, so I frogged the whole thing. And I ended up using the first color I was using in my Musselburgh hat for one of my little neck scarves. So that yarn is gone. It's not gonna be paired with this anymore, but I'm thinking I can make a one color Musselburgh hat out of this, and that is very much the plan. I don't love making hats. I have not yet had a successful hat. I made one that I'll show you in a minute that was too small. I made one that is too big, and then I made, like, partially made the other, like the one of these I just mentioned, that I then ended up frogging because I didn't like the gauge and I thought it was gonna end up too big. So not a lot of confidence in myself for this one, but I want the Musselburgh hat. I need to participate in joining the community of thousands who have made the Musselburgh hat. It just looks like a good time. I think this yarn would look really pretty as a hat, so I'm gonna give it a try. And if I get there and I hate it, I'll quit. I'll quit so fast. Then I'll find something else to use this yarn for, because Arcane Fiberworks makes really good stuff. I love watching their dye pot videos, and I'm really glad they brought them back. That's unrelated, but still related. Yeah, I'm gonna keep. How much more of the yarn do you wanna see? I'm gonna put you. Next on my list, Tony Lipsy of TL Yarn Crafts did it again and put a chokehold on me. She released her rose cardigan pattern, which is a granny square DK weight cardigan pattern. I used up all of my fingering weight minis making the granny square blanket that she made recently and released a pattern for. And she said, make more granny squares. And I said, yes, Tony, I will do that for you. Thank you. It is, again, a DK weight pattern, and she was using the Hue Loco Honeybee collection, which is an already curated palette of really gorgeous yarn, because Hue Loco is amazing, and why wouldn't you? But I am not doing that. I kind of just have been collecting random DK weight skeins, and so I thought, okay, why don't I use the DK weight skeins that I just have accumulated in my stash? I have a lot of single skeins that aren't doing anything, and slowly start to form a palette out of those, knowing full well that any other DK weight skeins I acquire could be added into the palette, because I'm not going to be starting this project for whoever knows. It could be 6 months from now, it could be longer than that. The palette is still kind of finding its way, but here are some options that we have. I'm not going to go into depth about these yarns because I feel like they're not locked into the project yet. But I've got like this Hue Loco DK weight skein. I've got this Scout skein. I've got this Gnome Fiber Depot skein. This one's in BFL, very cool. This Scout one is a Merino Corriedale blend. Excited about that. This one is from Rising Tide Fiber Co. And this one is the hat that I made that's too small for my head. I don't like the fit. So I'm gonna frog this and turn it into granny squares because it would be pretty. This is also a Rising Tide Fiber Co. skein of DK weight yarn. So I just have a lot going on. I have a lot of options. I don't know what's gonna manifest and stick. I have got some other yarn events coming up this year still, so there's always time to collect more yarn for the pile. So still open on that, but still also constantly thinking about it in the back of my mind. The rose cardigan, it's going to happen. And the last project that's really taking up space in my brain that I'm itching to start at a drop of a hat is, so like I mentioned earlier, I made a whole blanket out of fingering weight mini skeins and then did a like join as you go granny square border around them. It's a really awesome blanket, but I didn't end up using all of the yarn from that. And so now I just have a metric ton of minis in different colors. They're beautiful, they're lovely, I love them. I don't know how well you can see all of these, but I trust me. And then I've got like a bunch of blues and greens just in here. So those are all just like in here floating around, and they're in desperate need of a scrap project. I've had a lot of ideas about exactly what scrap project I'm gonna make with them. I have a bubble scarf pattern by Stephen West that makes a little scarflet. That would be cool. I'm also thinking about doing like a random dice roll for what color group to do next and then reaching my hand into the bag and grabbing one out. I'm also thinking about projects that I don't have to keep in a stitch pattern, that I could just go until that one runs out and then do another one. I'm still open. If you have any pattern recommendations or ideas of what I could do with my scraps, I would take those recs in the comments. I would love that because I'm always looking for scrapspiration. I have a bundle on Ravelry that is literally just called Scrapspiration, where I save literally hundreds of scrap yarn patterns. And by hundreds, I mean tens probably, because I haven't been on Ravelry that long. Just really like scrappy little projects. I think they're colorful and fun and weird, and I like that. There was just a book released called 52 Weeks of Scrap Yarn or 52 Weeks of Scrap Projects, and I have saved like every pattern from that book in Ravelry because I can't decide if I'm gonna bite the bullet and buy the book, but honestly with the amount of patterns I have saved and want, it's probably going to happen at some point, but not today. The budget can't handle it. We are being strong and not giving in to our instant gratification desires. I will say, this really helped clear the mental queue. I feel like I have a better grasp on what projects are the most immediate. Clearly, I still have a ton of yarn back here. I haven't even talked about Cam's projects yet. They have a little list of things that they want me to make for them. I'm gonna make other videos about making those projects. So we've got the 3 whip slot, we've got the auxiliary whips that need to get finished that have already been started and that I intend to finish. And then we've got these lovely, lovely yarns. And you would think, okay, great. You have all of these things. You've got lots to do. You've got tons of projects. You've got tons of ideas. No need to buy new yarn. Wrong, 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 wrong. Why would you think that? And more importantly, why would you say that to me? Wrong, wrong. You're wrong about that. And it's time to be educated. I will still continue to buy yarn. It is pretty, and the yarn dragon that lives inside my brain demands that I add to its hoard. It's just what's true. And as long as I stay inside my budget, I can do whatever I want. And what I want is to buy yarn. Yes. Okay, I think that's the plan. Is that the plan? Is that everything? This sounds pretty good. Did we do it? Did we make progress on deciding about our whips and our projects and make it more manageable for me in my brain? I think we did. Congratulations. Thank you for being here. Well, anyway, thanks for visiting my craftland. You're invited back anytime. If you feel like hanging out for a bit, why don't you like, comment, subscribe, or check out another video? We'll keep this party going. Bye. You're just giving this away with your socks? what are other people putting in it if not craft projects?